So I'm calling it 4 Weddings and a Funeral because I have no ideas left. So when I was 7, I was the ring bearer at one of my cousin's weddings, and which went off without a hitch until after the wedding and everyone gets into the limousine to go to the wedding reception. And I was in the back of the limousine and all the adults had champagne. They gave me a can of soda. And as we're driving to the reception, some guy runs a red light in front of the limousine. The limo driver has to slam on the brakes, and I go flying towards, I can see my cousin right now, I'm flying towards her with a can of soda in my hand, and I drenched her $3,000 wedding dress with a can of Coca-Cola. So when she gets to the reception, they go through the 2 big doors, and she's brown on the entire left side of her body. And then 3 years later, when she got divorced, everyone in my family blamed me. Because I said I had jinxed the wedding the moment we left. And because of that, nobody invited me to their wedding until I was 18. And one of my other cousins invited me to attend her wedding. And she texted me the where and when, and I was running late because I often do. And because I was running so late, I wasn't thinking clearly or paying attention. So I pulled into the church parking lot, and I sneak into the church, and I go to the 2 big doors, and we've all done this when you have to be sneaky. You try to be as quiet as possible. I open up the door, I start stepping inside, I get about half a step in, and the door let out a squeak. And everyone turned and looked at me. And that was the first thought I had in my head was, fuck, now everyone knows that I'm 20 minutes late to this wedding. But I didn't have that thought very long, because the next thing I noticed was that the bride was not my cousin. And it's a pretty small wedding, about the size of this crowd of people. And I could see in the groom's face, he kept looking at his soon-to-be wife with a, who the fuck is this guy look on his face, because nobody knew who I was. I'm just some random dude their age standing in a tuxedo. And I panicked. So all I said was, oh, I'm sorry, pardon me, wrong wedding. And I turned around and left. And then I felt shitty about doing that, because I thought, well, wouldn't it have been funny if I just said, don't do it. Please, no, I love you, just to fuck with him. But it's a stairway thought, but I didn't do it. I'm sure I probably caused a honeymoon beating for that woman, though. And wherever she is, I'm sorry. Because of that, nobody invited me to the wedding until 2 years after that. And 2 of my friends, Joe and Angie, were going to have a costume-themed wedding where he was going to dress up as Superman, and his groomsmen were going to be superheroes from the Justice League. And the bride, Angie, was going to dress up as whatever the fuck that elven princess in Lord of the Rings is called. And her bridesmaids were going to be other elven princesses. And they told every one of their friends and family to come in a costume because, they're kooky people. That's the kind of shit they do. So I get dressed up for the wedding as a Parisian ballet dancer. And I'm wearing this ridiculous silk suit, and I've got makeup on my face and my arms, and I drew a little pencil-thin mustache on. My friend Kyle, dressed like somebody that had walked in from a drunken luau. He had on flip-flops, Bermuda shorts, a Hawaiian t-shirt, a straw hat, aviator sunglasses, and a weed in his teeth that we picked from the yard. Well, we got stuck in traffic, so we relate to that wedding too. And we get there and there's nobody outside smoking, and quite a few of my friends are smokers, so we thought, well, fuck, it's already started. But it hadn't, it was getting ready to start. And Kyle and I, we run in and turn the corner and look down the 2 big doors, and the first thing I see is Joe, who is wearing the most splendid white tuxedo I had ever seen in my entire life. And then the next thing I saw was that everybody else in the entire fucking building was wearing a tuxedo or a dress. And Kyle and I run in like a couple of fucking idiots. Joe sees us, he runs down the aisle up to me and starts yelling at me, you did this on purpose, I know you did it on purpose. I said, Joe, it was a costume-themed wedding. Well, we changed our mind 2 weeks ago, didn't you get my MySpace message? No! Joe, I don't even have a MySpace, what the fuck is wrong with you? Joe threatens to beat the shit out of me and says that we can stay if we sit in the corner and don't let the cameraman film us. I was at least okay, because I still had on a suit, even though it was magenta and silk. But Kyle, and I can see the look, it's the same look he gave me that day. He just, behind the aviator sunglasses, says, "God, I hate you so much." And I said, "I'm sorry." And then because of that, nobody invited me to their wedding. And I didn't get invited to my other friend Ben's wedding until last minute when he asked me to film it. And I said, okay, I don't really want to because we've had a falling out and your father's banned me from ever being around you because I showed you Reservoir Dogs, but okay, I'll film your wedding. He spends a year converting to Mormonism just to get married to this woman. I show up to the wedding. I don't really want to be there, but I've got this shitty Sony Handycam that I'm supposed to film with. All of a sudden, Ben's dad comes in with a $3,000 camera he had rented from the news. And I thought, well, why the fuck am I even here? I mean, he's going to sit right there in the front and film this with a high-quality camera. But, fuck it, I'll film it anyway. So after the wedding, we go over to a different Mormon church for the reception. Has anybody been to a Mormon wedding reception?
No.
Don't recommend it. They had 6 250 nugget trays from Chick-fil-A for their food. A selection of low-fat cheese and Sprite, because it's caffeine-free, and that was it. They wouldn't let you dance. Someone put on the Beach Boys, and all the elder Mormons lost their shit and requested that we change the music. So I'm sitting at the table, bored out of my tit, trying to be the life of the party at my table, and I feel 2 hands clamp on my shoulders from behind, and I look up, and it's Ben's dad. And he says, "Did you get a chance to look at your video yet?" And I said, "No."